Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It interview recap, where my co-host in life, Crowell, and I are going to dig into this persistent combo with Roxy Menzies. In our last episode, oh my God, I love her. If you haven't yet listened to the interview, feel free to pause this now. Go back, listen to that one, come back on over and join us on this, or listen to this, then listen to that. It's okay. There's no perfect order. I am really excited because a couple things have happened. We have wrapped up our Control Your Balance Challenge, which was a lot of fun. We had so many people sign up. And I just really love helping people realize that you don't have to actually get the exercise. That you can actually replace the exercise with any exercise that builds you up along the way.
But this one, it was still a fun one to dig into. I mean, this is like one of the I always just compare it to doing a handstand for yogis, right?
Yeah.
Like that's like the pinnacle. That's like you can do everything from that point. Not necessarily true, but that's what everybody thinks about. Oh man, you're not a good yogi until you've nailed this move. And we tried to pick the same one that people have that view for Pilates, which isn't true, but still, it's like a big pose.
Yeah, it either scares people and they never do it, which is fine if you're never, like, there might be reasons why you were never going to do it. There was a person on Instagram who was like, she used to love it, and now because of something going on in her body, she can't do it anymore. That's fine. Yeah. Because I believe it's brave and courageous to just replace that exercise with another one you can do. So that's what we really help people do. Like whether or not they did that exercise, control balance off, they have now an exercise they can do during that time to get them there. It's like people doing handstand at a wall, or doing what's the one where you put your feet L pose.
Yeah,
put your feet on the
L pose.
Like you get to do that instead, so you don't feel like, oh, I have to sit this one out. Nope, you keep moving. So
either way, I mean, having all the community in the Facebook group, and then everybody on Instagram, really supporting each other and encouraging each other to work through this challenging pose was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thanks to my OPC teachers, Rachel, Tammy, and Mindy, for helping me encourage everyone and give them tips and strategies along the way. We are also packing the van back up because we are leaving for Momentum Fest.
So if you want to join us for the Full Body in 15 Challenge, just click the link in the show notes here, and you'll be directed to get on the wait list for that.
Yeah, that one's really fun. It is a full body workout in 15 minutes. All you need is a mat, so you don't have to have access to a reformer like our last one.
Yeah, and if you're new to Pilates, that one is perfect for you. We're going to be starting with the foundations.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so clearly I'm really excited about our trip.
Yeah.
I'm really excited because we love Momentum Fest. If you listen to the last recap, we talked about how much we love Momentum Fest. If you haven't heard that, go back and listen to it. But really what I'm so excited about is we have made it a new tradition. On our way to Momentum Fest, we take a little pause.
Yeah.
And we see some sights, then we work, and then we see some sights on the way home. So this time we are going to go, we're not camping, but we are staying in the Mesa Verde cabins overlooking this incredible national park. We're going to get a nice pause, a lovely relaxation, some hikes in. And then on our way back, I think we're going to try to dig up our own crystals.
I'm working on that. So the Mesa Verde National Park is in Colorado, and if you haven't seen pictures of that, just Google that really quick. They have like a full-blown city was carved into the side of a butte, by the first tribes here back in the day, like, I don't know, 1,000 years ago here. And I didn't know that we had that in the United States. I have been chasing temples all around the world, and then we had it in our own backyard. So we're staying there. And then on the way back in Utah, we're working on hopefully finding a spot where we can possibly dig up some crystals ourselves. That would be really fun.
I know. So anyways, which kind of leads into this week's audience question.
Oh, great. Yeah. So that question would be, how do you take a pause when you don't have time or money?
Yeah, so I'm really glad that this question was asked, because first of all, it takes a lot of vulnerability, because it takes you acknowledging that you need the pause, and also you acknowledging the obstacles that are in your way from doing it.
Sure.
And part of those obstacles, I think some people would say that's a story you're telling yourself, and I can understand that the stories we tell ourselves, but I also think that is a little flippant and not acknowledging that some people, and I was one of those people, if I had the time, I didn't have the money. And if I had the money, I didn't have the time.
Sure.
And so if you find yourself in that position, we've been there, sometimes we're there. And so I really am grateful for this question, because I think you're not the only one wondering how to take a pause when there are restrictions in your ability to do that. So I think
first we need to define a pause.
Yeah. Well, what's a pause to you?
Well, I think in the context here, we were just talking about our drive. So obviously that requires the ability to take a day off, a full day off, right? So that may not be an option. And so I think that we can change the definition of what we consider a pause. I think once a year, getting a true, proper vacation, disconnecting from the way we run our lives and whatnot is really important to do. And maybe that's camping, and because that's like financially viable.
That's what my parents did. We couldn't take vacations. We didn't have. I think they got us to Disneyland once, but we went camping because it was $5 a night.
Right. Yeah. Same for us. I mean, I grew up absolutely camping up and down the East Coast, because my parents didn't really have money to take us to places.
I'm picturing some of our listeners right now going, "No way, guys, that cannot be the answer to my question."
No, but I think the idea there is it's something that's not financially like a huge financial burden, But what I was going to say is I think it's important to take a true like multiple day disconnect from the life that we've built for ourselves once a year, but your disconnect, your pause could be much smaller than that.
Yeah, and also, so I think I love that question you posed, like, what is a pause? I think, first of all, that is like the definition of success. You need to define what a pause is for you first.
Yeah.
And then you need to look at the time and or money aspect of that pause. For me, I strip it down to a pause is you can't get a hold of me. I'm not expected to do what I do. Like, if I don't want to do my morning routine, I don't need to do it. If I don't want to look at my email, I'm not expected to do it. Like, a pause is everyone knows LL is unreachable in this moment. And sometimes that's 2 hours. Sometimes it's like literally like
right.
My week got too busy and I'm like, you know what? If I have to do that thing on Saturday, guess what? Friday afternoon, I'm done at 1. Do not ask me to do anything. And I put a pause in there. So they don't have to be multiple. I do agree that everyone needs once a year where you really do get out of really get out of it. We've definitely had the times where we've had the money but not the time, or the time but not the money.
Sure.
And so here are just some ideas for you. Swap houses with a friend. Like,
Ooh.
literally go swap houses. So it's like an Airbnb, but you didn't have to deal with it. You can check in whenever you want. You can bring a dog if you want. You can have more.
Did you say swap dogs? No.
Swap houses. Some other things I would say is like, what we're doing to go to Momentum Fest. We have to work at Momentum Fest. That's not a pause, but we can actually make the time there and the time back a pause.
Yeah, we can add an extra day to our drive, 1 day on each end, so that we can have time for ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then also, like, just when we're recording this podcast, I did not have 5 days in a row to pause. There was work that needed to get done, like recording this podcast. So I had a couple days paused, and then I had a day where I'm working here, and then we're going into pause again. And so just being clear on what that is.
For me, when I was working my job, which was really high stress all the time, and it was like a lot of difficult energy to be around, I would take a pause every single day during my lunch break, and I would walk twice around this massive block. First off, it gave the dog the chance to get out and walk around, but also it was a relief from the intensity of the surroundings that I was in, and it was my moment of like big deep breath, so that I could prepare myself to go finish the rest of the day.
I love that. So I think first thing, figure out what a pause is for you. Second, figure out what is like get creative. Maybe it's that you go on a different hike each week that you've never done before, or even each month. Maybe like I really do think a pause is like you don't have like people can't get a hold of you. Like that to me is a true pause. So like, leave your phone behind and go on a walk around the block. Just some other things. There are utility bills and bills you have to pay every single month. I highly recommend putting them on a credit card that you pay off each month for your utilities. That allows you to get points, that allows you to apply those to hotel rooms and flights.
Sure.
Because if you don't have money or like the money aspect, a lot of the times you see me in a hotel room, points, baby, points. And that's because, you know, I need to change my surroundings to get creative, and I don't always have the means to change them with actual money. But you're always paying your Netflix bill, you're always paying your utility bills. Like just put them on one of those things and then rack them up and then treat yourself.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, you know, changing your environment. A lot of times, I used to do this all the time. I would go work from a coffee shop.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's not a pause, but it's a way of pausing.
It was a change up of my work environment. So, you know, and that you know still costs you $15 or whatever after you've had a sandwich and a coffee, but you could sit there for a couple hours and change your environment.
So, homework. I want to hear from you, listeners.
Yeah.
What is your definition of a pause?
Yeah.
And then what are you going to do in the next 3 weeks to make that version happen?
In the next 3 weeks, literally making a decision today that you're going to incorporate a pause in. We want to know about your pause.
Yeah, tag us in your pause.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, this is a fun game we just made up. Okay.
Okay, now let's talk about Roxy Menzies. From traveling the world, teaching and presenting and performing, Roxy is now back in her hometown of Toronto as a freelance writer and a storyteller in the realm of health and wellness. She is a mother of a cute, rambunctious toddler and is making it her mission to guide, educate, and create safe spaces for individuals to explore their own movements.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one thing I love that she said is naming the role models of balance. So we were talking about balance at the time and like finding balance, and I was like, how do you find balance? You're a mom.
When you say balance, you're like a work-life balance kind of a thing?
Yeah, life-work balance is more alphabetical and also more intentional, but yeah, she talked about naming her role models of balance and like what would like Michelle Obama do and like all this stuff, and I think like insert anything you're wanting more of in your life and then pick role models for it. Who was I listening to? Maybe I was talking to someone. Anyways, there was someone who's like, I have a board of directors. I was listening to another podcast and they're talking about Napoleon Hill, and he had his own like board of directors that he would talk to. They're not a real board. They're like a made up like mastermind of like people. And it was like Napoleon Hill is so from like 100 years ago. So it was like Hoover and Roosevelt. I mean, like it was like people, but like think about who are the people that you're trying to aspire to have what they have in that thing: balance, success, love, money, mindset, things like that. And then have those people and like actually like think about like what would they do so that would help guide you and what you can do. I fucking loved it. I thought it was great.
I love that. But I also think the role model, you know, she was saying, I'm a mom and I'm a writer and I'm a teacher and I'm a spouse and I'm a whatever, all the things, right? And she's like, I decided I needed a role model, and so she chose Michelle Obama, and what a role model, right? Because wow, First Lady, being a mom to the like married to the president and raising kids like, in the White House.
How does she have balance?
Like, how could you have any balance in that role? And you know, they made it through 8 years of that, and that's incredible. So what an inspiration! What an inspirational person to choose as a role model. So, you know, you can name your own role model too, and then you can be. It's
like Hazel Ortega, like
yes,
J-Lo is her mentor, right?
Yeah, J-Lo is her mentor. Sure, exactly.
I loved it. I think it's great. So, anyways, I'm into it, and I think we should all be like creating our own like little board of people that we're gonna act as if.
Yeah, one thing I love that she said was. That you will be rejected in life more than not.
Yes, that is so true.
And I don't think I've ever really thought about it, although it's quite logical because I'm such a huge fan of getting rejected to success.
It's also everything's a numbers game anyways, and like you
Right.
couldn't keep, you think you're busy now, you couldn't keep up with all the getting everything you ever wanted all the time. You just couldn't keep up with it. It wouldn't be possible.
Right, totally. Well, even so, just the idea that we will be rejected more than accepted. She was specifically talking about it as a writer and submitting her articles and connecting with the editors and all that kind of stuff. And just saying this out loud should be a relief, right? Like, hey, here's the reality. We'll be rejected more than not. And so it kind of allows you to reframe that and look at it in a different way with a different mindset.
Yeah.
Where, okay, cool. Yes, this probably sucked in the moment and I'm really disappointed and frustrated, but it's, this is not, this is normal.
Yeah. And also you're going to reject more things than you're going to say yes. So just like,
sure.
Just know, like, I have to reject people who want to be on the pod. And I'm like, I feel like an asshole because I know how it feels to be rejected. But also that's part of the lesson that the rejection is part of the lessons we have to learn in this life to get us to the next thing we have to do. And we just have to reframe how we think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And she specifically said she allows herself to feel the feels. And I thought that was really cool because, she said, I don't do it publicly, but I leave myself some space to get frustrated and be angry and say, I'm so upset about this, and then move on.
Yeah.
But feeling the feels is important because, I know you have spoken about this before, but, if you don't allow yourself to actually feel it and express it, it doesn't mean you didn't. It's just going to be bottled up inside.
Yeah.
Right. And paying attention to that frustration, that stress, that fear, that anger, that whatever for a moment, in the moment, will really help you work through that energy.
Yeah. And y'all, I'm not the science behind this, but there is a book called The Body Keeps a Score for a reason. You have to feel your feelings, otherwise your body's going to hold on to it. So it's important. Okay. I love her. Let's go on to the beit action items.
All right. So what bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with Roxy Menzies? I will start off. She said, get really clear on your why and your what. Now, of course, the context here is she's becoming she's
a writer.
She is a writer, sorry. But she, in the process of becoming a writer, she said it didn't start off that way, where she was like, I'm going to pursue this as a career goal. And then suddenly there was like a light bulb moment of like, oh, this could be an actual decision for me to pursue. And so she began to get clear on the what. Like she loves writing, always enjoyed writing, and then started writing, even though she's not didn't go to school for it or any of that stuff. Yeah. But once she landed that first gig, it was like, oh, this could be a real thing. And then the why, for her, just guessing here, but she can be home with her, 2.5-year-old, or be traveling anywhere around the world, because I know that she used to do that a lot.
And she can influence more people with her words than she could with her teaching. And so what I loved about this too is notice the word how isn't in there. I think most people focus on how am I going to do that. But if you can't, the how, everything I learned, the how comes. You have to focus on the why you're doing it and the what it is you're doing, and the how kind of reveals itself.
Yeah. Wow. That I'm going to take notes on that for me personally. That's some.
Oh, they just influenced Brad right there.
All right. What about you?
Okay. My biggest takeaway is don't let the rejection keep you from other goals. So this kind of goes on to she feels her feelings and then she moves on. I really have seen too often, and myself included, we get rejected, and then it stops us from working on other things.
Oh, it shuts us down.
The extreme version of this is the people who get rejected and they just don't leave their house again, or they you know what I mean? They stop showering, they stop taking care of themselves. But
sure.
Even on you might not be that person because you have other things you have to do that keep you getting out the door, but I think a lot of people get rejected and then they just don't put themselves out there again.
Yeah.
And so like they talk to someone at a coffee shop about doing something, the person's like, no, and they're like, it didn't work. And it's like, well, it didn't work in that moment. It doesn't mean it doesn't work ever, and I think rejection, as you mentioned, is like, it's gonna happen. And I'm really hoping to get the author of Rejection Proof on here someday, because he really inspired me. I've had a lot of no's from a lot of people that I found really important and influential on my life that I actually know, and they told me no, and so I hadn't reached back out to them. Well, it's been a year. I have 100 episodes. We're in the top 2.5% of podcasts in the world. Like, they should want to be on my show.
Sure.
So I should go ask them again. And so, I realized then that their rejection had stopped me from pursuing them again.
Yeah.
Or pursuing people at their level again. And so I think it's just really important that we don't let a rejection of something in a moment stop us from other moments and other things.
Yeah. And I think you summed that up actually really nicely. I just wanted to say before we sign off here, when Roxy was on the episode before this, she mentioned the course that she wrote for Profitable Pilates.
Yeah.
And if writing for a publication is of any interest to you, and that's something that to actually go get paid for, wow, what a course she has. It's incredibly detailed. She goes through a lot of the
it is one of the best course we have on our site, hands down.
She has gone through all the challenges of starting off as someone who had an aspiration of being a writer to actually like going through all the steps over the past couple of years, and she kind of lifts the lid on it and like how it works and what you can do to participate. So can't recommend this course more. Yeah. Just go to profitablepilates.com/courses and you can find it in there.
Yeah. Well, I love Roxy. Thank you so much for being on. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. How are you going to use these tips in your life? We want to know. Inquiring minds really want to know. So
these two inquiring minds.
These two, and I know Roxy is too. So what you're going to do is you're going to screenshot this episode. You're going to post it on your socials. You're going to tag the Beit Pod. You're going to tag Roxy Spiral. And you're going to let us know what your takeaways are. And if you're like, I have no idea how that even works, I get it. Not everyone does Instagram for a living. So you can just text it to a friend. That's fine. And you can just write into the show if you want. But all those links are below. But it's really important to us that you are taking some messy action, you're ditching perfection, and you are being it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day.
Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell. Our associate producer is Amanda Fraterelli.
Kevin Perez at Disenyo handles all of our audio editing.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jairo Mandal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Perdoso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Angelina Herrico for transcribing each of our episodes so you can find them on our website. And finally to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.